And please note that this session is being recorded. I'm Rebecca Chauncey, the advisor at the Illinois SBDC at Bill Bronzeville. Welcome to today's training, Accounting and QuickBooks. We're honored to partner with ARC Consulting for this session. This training is provided to you at no cost, funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the US SBA, the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, and the Urban Juncture Foundation. And as I said today, we have the honor of partnering with ARC Consulting. Just please note, ARC Consulting was founded by the experienced accountant and auditor Track Patel. Track Patel has more than 20 years of experience in accounting and audit. He is a certified public accountant and has an MBA. He has worked at Fortune 1000 companies and has been instrumental in process changes that have benefited the companies in savings. He has also worked with small businesses, helping them in all aspects of their business, from accounting, payroll, tax consulting, and operational efficiency. So without further ado, let me say, just before I have Track speak with you, just a couple of housekeeping notes. If you have questions during today's session as Track is speaking, feel free to type them in the Q&A section. We will address those throughout the training. And then of course, there may be time at the end for final questions, just in case you didn't get an opportunity to type them in the Q&A section. And that can be found if you hover over the bottom of your screen, and we will look for questions there and answer them as soon as possible during the presentation. And now, without further ado, I'm happy to introduce Track Patel. Please continue on and lead us in the ways of accounting and QuickBooks.
Okay, thanks very much for the introduction. Greatly appreciated, and welcome everyone. If there's any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to ask. So our agenda for today, we'll go through the different types of products that they have. One is the desktop, one is the online. There's two different types of ways you can manage your accounting via QuickBooks. So I'll show you the differences, the pros and cons of the two, the key navigation screens, and also some of the key important things that you should be aware of companies setting up a company, what is a chart of accounts, and vendors, inputting checks and running reports and things like that, which are very important when you're running your business. So with that, what I'm going to do is, from slides, this is the last slide I'll be showing, exception of the last one, which has some information around contact. But everything else is going to be more navigation, actually showing the product, what it looks like, how to navigate through it. So that way you have a understanding of what it actually looks like. So let's start off with online QuickBooks. So let me give it a second here. There we go. Okay. So this is the online QuickBooks. This is a sample company, and everything I'll be showing you is a sample, but everything works the same regardless of how you use it, whether it's desktop or online, and bringing your actual data. So everything works exactly the same. So this, what you see here, is called a dashboard. The dashboard pretty much tells you, how many, if you're issuing invoices, how much is unpaid, what's paid, what your expenses are for the last 30 days, which you can alter, your profit and loss for the month, which you can alter, showing you different, if you want to see the dip for the quarter, it'll automatically adjust it. It's fairly slick. And then the neat thing about QuickBooks, whether it's online or desktop, is it has integration with your banking your bank in general. So here online, you can see that it's actually integrated. It's showing that it's integrated. And what it does when it's integrated, it goes out to the bank account and pulls the data, your deposits and payments, and puts them in here. So then you can actually do your day-to-day accounting. You can do this with a checking account, savings account, and credit cards. And as you can see here, here's a credit card that they've put in here as well. It's extremely important to make sure you do this on a regular basis, at the minimum on a monthly basis, so there's no issues. Okay, everybody able to hear?
Yes, it's better. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I think it's the connection. Sometimes it can be a little bit choppy. So like I said, this is really the fields where you can actually go in and input the various different categories. So for example, this is Bob's Burger Joint, and it looks like there was a transaction already in here. But to categorize it, you would put in what kind of a category expense is it? It's probably a meal, so you put it as a meal. And then you can add it, for example. When you add it, it goes away from this dashboard and records it in the actual register, which I'll show you what that looks like. So now, let me switch over to the desktop to kind of show you what that looks like. This is the desktop's dashboard. And similar to online, it has also these fancy charts that you can look at if you wanted to, to give you an idea of, how much, what does it look like for the quarter? Where did I spend most of my money, and so on. And then it also has these various fancy, bar graphs and charts, paid invoices, unpaid, just like it does online. Now, the one difference is how this has kind of an ease of dashboard, so you can categorize your transactions. It's not quite as intuitive. It's actually in what's called bank feeds right here. This is where all those transactions lie whenever they come in from the credit card or from the bank account. In this situation, you can see here, there is a transaction that's sitting here that needs to be allocated. Anytime you see auto means, there was a transaction in here and automatically allocated it. And then to accept it, I just click accept, it records it in the register. So you can also similarly connect this directly to a bank account via, excuse me, the QuickBooks. There's two ways of getting transactions in to desktop QuickBooks. One, integrating it directly and right through here via the bank, or what we typically do is we go to the bank's website, download the transactions, and then import them using this utilities feature calling import as a Web Connect file. The reason I been focusing more on doing it this way is because historically, and this problem probably has been fixed, but sometimes when you're using the direct feed through this desktop feature, sometimes some transactions don't come through. It's happened in the past, so we've decided to use that other method. But so far, we have a couple of companies where we're doing the feeds, it's working. But the other method, works equally well. It's not that much difficult. The one important thing is to making sure you reconcile your bank account on a monthly basis. And I'll talk about that in a minute, okay? So one important fact that one important piece of the accounting that you need to be aware of is what we call a chart of accounts. This is what you see here. Now, let me just switch back and forth so you can see what it looks like also on the online version. And in the accounting section called Chart of Accounts, you see the accounts. It's the same thing. What does this show? It shows all your accounts that are set up in QuickBooks, whether it's a checking account, a credit card account, your expense account, your income account. These are the different categories that you're going to allocate all your transactions to. So when you spend money at Starbucks, goes to a meal, for example. spend something at office supplies, go to Office Max. And so all of that, all your income and expense accounts are set up here. So here's your income, here's your expenses. If you needed to add an account, you could do that here as well. Click New. And then you can pick the type of account. Let's say it's an expense account. We'll do expense. Let's say it's some insurance account that you want to set up. Let's say it's liability insurance. Okay, so you can call it liability insurance, save and close, and automatically create it for you. So if you were to go down, you'd probably see that under the insurance category. Let's see. Or you can actually, sometimes it's easier just to search for it too. Oops. Sorry about that. Click the wrong button. There it is, liability insurance. So there's multiple ways you can do this. So, but this is your chart of accounts. Similarly, on the desktop, it's the same thing here as you saw. And I can do the same type of search, insurance. Oh, here's all the insurance accounts. Clear it out. Now, what is the main, well, outside of some functionality, the way it operates, why would somebody want to do a desktop compared to doing online? So one key, if you want advantage or disadvantage, depends on the person. For online is, of course, you can go to a browser, go to QuickBooks.com and log in, and you're in your account. So in essence, you could do it from any computer, iPad, whatever it might be. On the desktop, of course, you have to download the software and install it, and it works on the computer that you're using, unless you put it on a network. But it's it's really partitioned to the computer. So you have to log into a computer in order to get into your QuickBooks. The other piece is online, you have to pay a monthly subscription fee. So the monthly subscription fee varies depending on how many features you end up having. It starts, I believe, at $30 and then goes up from there. As you add additional features, depending on what you need, it can go to $80 a month up to. If you add payroll, that's more. On the desktop, you just buy the software and download it into your computer, and that's it. And you can buy the software from Amazon or anywhere, and typically the cost is about $200 to $300 one-time fee. And download it one time and you're done. So that is a fairly large advantage from a cost perspective compared to the monthly subscription. Now, of course, you do whatever makes sense for you and whatever is the easiest for you. If you feel like online is better, you just go with online, and you have to pay the fee. Whereas desktop, it's one time, you're done, and you typically don't have to upgrade for at least 3 to 4 years. So you're good for a while. Okay. I'm going to stop for just a minute and see if anybody has any questions before I move to the next section of the session. Anybody have any questions? Otherwise, I'll keep moving.
Not yet, Track.
Okay, perfect. All right. So the next item I wanted to talk about, as I had mentioned, just a chart of accounts, is your vendor section. Okay, so it's under here, and there's this is a good place to track all your payables. So if you have a bill coming in and you're going to pay it in a month or 2 months or whatever, you should input all your invoices that you get into this vendor section. So if you get here's Cigna Healthcare, perfect example. So you want to create a bill. Well, I just got my healthcare bill. This way, the reason you want to do this is because it stores it shows in your QuickBooks as a payable. So if you run a report, and I'll show you how to do that, it'll show that, oh my God, we have a $2,000 payment we have to make. So for example, this is insurance. Oops. Okay. and you can call it whatever, October bill, and say it was $3,000. And then the bill date, let's say it was 10/01/2020, and it's due in a month. You can say it's net terms is 30 days, so automatically changes it. And then let's say the invoice was 45678, your invoice number. And then you can save and close. And it'll save it as a bill that, as you can see here, that's going to be due. So you can track all your bills in here and see what's coming up for due. So you can see up here at the top what's coming due. So this $3,848, that's part of this $33,000 that's overdue because it was due October 31st. So it's a good way to track it. And when you make a payment, you can, mark it as paid. If you wrote a check, you can put in the check number here. That's what this is. If it was direct debited, you can put a direct debit. If you put it on a credit card, you can point it to the credit card. Or if you paid by, check, it goes to a check here. Or if it was, came out directly from your checking account, you just leave it, save it, close it, you're done. I'm not going to record it because I want to show you how it looks when you run a payroll. Not payroll report, a vendor report. Okay. Now let's look at it on the desktop. How does that look? Same concept. We'll go under vendors. Here's a list of all the vendors that are currently in here. Okay. And let's say you had an electric bill that came in. We're gonna input a new bill. Gas and electric. Let's say a reference number is 78. Invoice number 7890. Say it was a $1,500 electric bill. Go under utilities, gas and electric. We're going to save and close it. Let's change the date here, 10/01/2020. And its terms are 30 days. Automatically changes it. Save and close. It's saying, oh, this is over 90 days old. Do you still want to record it? Yes, I do. That's fine. I've changed the term. Boom, there it is. So, and the same process occurs if you want to pay it. You can go in and actually pay it using the dashboard. Where did it go? Pay bills. So you can say up here, enter bills, pay bills. And you can be like, oh, here's my electric bill. I'm going to pay this $1,500 electric bill. Okay. You can pay selected, make sure it's in the right, it's in the checking account. It was a check or whatever it was. And then the date it was paid, you change that and then mark it as paid. I'm not going to record it because I want to show you what a report looks like. So if you want to see an aging of your report, you can do that. You can see the aging summary. So it'll show you all the payments are for all your vendors. There are two. Here's that gas and electric. It's over 90 days old. Oh my goodness. The nice thing about QuickBooks is you can drill down. If you double click it, it show you that, oh, it's October 1st. It was, invoice number 7890. It's age 735 days because it's supposed to be 2022. Oh, here it is. You can go in and look at it in more in detail. So this is what the aging report looks like on the desktop. Let's go here. Let's go on the online. It's a little slow online, unfortunately. Here are all the different types of reports you can run, but it's by area, like business overview, balance sheet, P&L. I'll explain what those are. Amount, who owes you? This is if you are sending out invoices for collection, for services that you provided, and then you can run, sales by customer and who owes you. I'm sorry, what you owe, and this is where you can run the summary of the AP that I just did on the desktop version. It's the same exact thing. See, it looks exactly the same. Here's a Cigna Healthcare that I added. It's over 30 days old. If you click on it, same thing. It shows you a detail. If you click on it again, it takes you to the actual transaction. Bingo. Here's, excuse me, the actual transaction. Any questions so far on the vendor section?
Yes, Track, we have a question. Crystal says, if you have multiple businesses, is there a section in QuickBooks where you can split it? Or do you need to create another account paying double?
Okay, very, very good question, actually. So for online, you have to pay for each company. So if you own multiple companies, because each one is going to have its own books and records, you're going to have track accounting separately. For online, you have to pay a subscription for each one. For desktop, you do not, because you own the software. You can have multiple companies. You just create a new company for each entity that you have. One is called ABC company, one's called DEF company. You can just open up those QuickBook files and run it, and you only pay for the one software, and that's it on the desktop. So if you do have that multiple companies, I would highly recommend definitely using desktop from a cost perspective. Is definitely much more cost efficient.
Thanks for answering the question. That's it for now.
Okay, perfect. That's a very good question. All right, so as I said, this is the summary on the desktop version. And you can also run payroll through QuickBooks as well on desktop and online. So this on the desktop, on the bottom section is your payroll, I guess, dashboard. So you can go to the payroll center to run payroll. But one thing I do have to stress is both on the desktop and online, this is an extra fee monthly that you have to pay. And the fee can vary depending on what option you pick, but I believe it starts at 35 bucks a month. And then they charge for direct deposit per transaction. Similarly, online, they do the same thing. There's a fee for the online, and same thing. So the nice thing about online compared to desktop is with desktop, if you're doing payroll yourself, which I highly recommend you not do, because if you make mistakes, the penalties are stiff from the IRS and the state. The big thing about on the desktop is you're responsible for making sure all tax payments are made timely and filing the appropriate reports with the taxing agencies, whether it's the IRS or the state. Okay, that's very important to know on the desktop. Online, you can have payroll online. So if we go here, just go to, actually, just go to the dashboard. Anyways, they just got 2 employees. Online, the big difference is they have what they call full service payroll, which means all you have to do is you just run the payroll, whether it's hourly employees or salaried employees, and QuickBooks will automatically make all the tax payments for you and file the actual tax, the quarterly or monthly, depending on your frequency of the reports to the taxing agencies for you, which you don't have to worry about. But of course, they charge more for that function. But if you did want to do that, you could do that. It does make it easy. You don't have to worry about anything, just run your payroll and that's it. So that's a big difference between online and desktop, where desktop, you definitely need to know what you're doing. Otherwise, definitely going to be in trouble with that. And we've encountered that situation with some of our clients where they did the payroll on their own and they started getting all these penalty notices, and then they decided to reach out to an accountant and hired us to help us, one, fix it, and then take over their payroll functions, and we process their payroll for them. And so it's extremely important to make sure you know what you're doing things correctly and accurately. So that's one thing I want to make sure that you're aware of. But it does have the functionality to do it. I'm not going to go too much into detail on the payroll side, but I wanted everybody to be aware that it does have the functionality to do it, to do direct deposits and everything. Okay. So let's now talk about sales. So one nice feature that exist in QuickBooks, Desktop and Online is the same, is their invoicing feature. So if you are in an industry where you're issuing invoices to customers, clients, whoever, it is very, very efficient to generate an invoice right through QuickBooks and send it to them. It can be sent electronically by email, so they can get it directly, or you can send it, by snail mail and just print it into it. The other nice feature is you can also initiate now Intuit, that owns QuickBooks, offers merchant account services, and which pretty much is your payment processing. Okay, so what that means is if you want the ability for someone, for you to take credit cards or somebody to pay electronically via ACH, you can do that. So you would just have to call their number and set the account up. They have different tiers. You can sign up for a free account where they just charge you per use for the ACH feature, or they charge you a certain percentage for credit card. Like it's typically about 3.5% fee per transaction. So you can do that, and it will email the invoice with a link in the email for them to pay electronically. Takes them to a third party, not third party, it takes them to their site, Intuit site, which is a secure site where they can input their banking info if they're going to pay by ACH, or credit card if they want to pay by credit card, and it gets directly deposited into your bank account. So everybody's sort of Square, PayPal, and all that that people use for payment processing. This just makes it very easy because it is fully integrated with the software. So you can immediately just generate an invoice and send it off to a customer, and they can pay directly. And then everything gets, you can record it right into your software, which makes things way, way easier. So to generate an invoice, you would just, let's say we have 100 delivery fee, we save it, and email it, we just do email the invoice, and a box would pop up. Let me just click this OK for a second. And I haven't created a profile, but you can just, it's not going to do it because it's a sample file, but you can just email it right through here. If everything's set up, you can email it directly through Outlook or through whatever email service that you have. You can set it up, and it will automatically send it right through that service. It's pretty slick. It's very, very neat, and includes a link within the email to make that payment. Okay. Anyone have any questions on this so far?
Yes, there's one question. Are there any transaction fees from QuickBooks on top of the bank charges?
For this merchant account services, is that the question for having the merchant account services?
I'm not sure. Ines Berry, I'm going to allow you to talk. Can you clarify your question for us?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. For the credit card payments that you just received as a merchant, yes.
Yeah, so they charge, so if you accept credit cards through Intuit, they charge a percentage fee. It's 3.5%. But if you have a high volume, they have different tiers of fee structures where you pay like a monthly fee and your percentage goes down. You know what I mean? So maybe like 2%, or you pay a monthly fee of $30 a month or something like that. They have different, tiers of fee structures. So the basic one is no monthly fee, and you just pay a flat 3.5% on every transaction that goes through. And then on credit card, and if it's a direct like ACH, when I say ACH is, it's debiting from their bank account and depositing to your account, not direct debit card. That's different. It's just debiting from their account. That's a $3 fee per transaction, regardless of the amount. So if it's 20 bucks, it's $3. $1,000, $3. 5,000, $3. Make sense?
Yep. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions anybody else has? The merchant
No.
account services. Sorry, go ahead.
No, we're good for now.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So as you can see right here, it shows that you can, accept credit cards right through here. They make it, Intuit has done a fairly good job in trying to see, integrate things to make things easier for small businesses to do business. As you can see here, through here, you can set up payment links, get paid easily anywhere, anytime. See that? Create my link, and they've done a pretty good job in getting everything put together, whether it's online or desktop. A lot of the features between the desktop and online are similar, but of course, like anything, desktop is much more powerful, has a lot more features, a lot more reporting capabilities to do things. So it's just a little bit much, and of course, it is cheaper to operate compared to online. So that does go become a factor for a lot of people when it comes down to it. So now let's talk about reporting. Okay, so one of the most important things that people tend to forget about is making sure that they're reviewing the financials on a regular basis. When I say regular, monthly is minimum. Okay, if you're running a business, you should review your financials, your P&L or profit and loss. Okay, because you need to know how much money you're making, or hopefully not, you're losing. So yeah, both have great features of running reports. So like I went into here, into this report section and just ran the P&L. Standard, you can change the dates. I want to do this month, or I want to do this so far this year to last month, and it gives you a breakdown. This, by the way, how it's all categorized is as good as how you categorize it. So for example, if you went to Home Depot and bought some supplies to do some repairs and put it to meals, it's going to show up as a meals expense, for example. So if you don't do it correctly, garbage in, garbage out. So it's extremely important to make sure that you're categorizing things correctly. So you can see where the expenses are being spent, okay? And this shows you, here's how much total income I've had. And then depending on your service that you provide, this happens to be a landscaping service, as you can see. The sample shows they've broken it down by design services. They design land, the landscaping. And then how much were the materials that they charge for. Here's how much they charge in labor. Here's how much they charge in service, and so on. And then how much was it in automobile costs, how much was insurance, and so on. So the more you can detail, you can make this as detailed as you want. All depends on you, okay, and how you set it up. And as I had mentioned previously, the setup is done in the chart of accounts. So you can, like in this example, they have a job materials category, and then they have subcategories. Same thing with insurance. You have multiple types of insurance. You have insurance and you have disability, liability. You don't want to create a category for each one, because that's just, I mean, it's all subcategories of insurance. Now, let me show you how it looks like online. Go into reports. And I had said, this is the same screen I went to before to show you the AP, accounts payable. And the default for online, they always put it in favorites, the balance sheet and the P&L. P&L is short for profit and loss, if I haven't said that already. Same thing, you can, manipulate the data here to see if you want it for a month, and then you have to actually run the report to change the data. Oh, there's nothing for this month. Let's do this year, today, last month. Run the report. Here we go. Same thing. This is also the same thing. It's a landscaping service broken down by different types of income, as you can see. And then expenses, job materials, professional fees, and so on. It's very important. So right now, this business is losing money as of from the period of January to November. How are we doing for this business? This business has a weird date of October to December. This business has made $9,000. So it's very important to watch this. The neat thing about the software, you can also do some comparisons. Like, how did I do compared to last year? Oh yeah, here we go. You can compare. And you can see the dollar changes. If you want to change it to percentages, we can do that too. Okay. Ooh. Looks like my overall income is up by 1,400%. Last year I only did 4,000. This year I did 65,000. This is a good tool because it helps you analyze where you're spent too much or too little. If you want to, like, say, advertising, oh my God, I can't believe I only spent this little on advertising. I should have spent more. Maybe I would have gotten more customers. Same thing with online. You can change it, customize it, to say, oh, I want to see how I did compared to last year. Run the report. Here's last year, same thing. Well, they didn't exist last year. There's no data. So if you wanted to change it from previous year, so let's say previous period, which would be previous, it's the same thing because we're doing year to date. If you wanted to do, let's say we wanted to do last month. There you go. Now you have last month and you do previous period. Previous period is October. So you want to compare. How did you do from October to November? You can do that too. So there's different ways you can slice and dice all of this data and how you can manipulate it to show you how you want it to appear. Same thing here. The other neat thing is you can drill down in the expenses. So if you see an expense or like, my goodness, fountain and garden lights, $1,150. What did I spend? Who did I spend that on? You can drill down. You can see, oh, Robert Curry Masonry. And then you have here is like, okay, $475 on multiple. So what is multiple? So it looks like it's Connor Gardner supplies. I spent it, and you can see the breakdown. Those are the neat features that are available. So if you were to, let's say, go, same thing with online, I just want to show you. If you want to go to equipment repairs, you click it. Here's the next screen. Oh, looks like I only spent it on one company, Diego's Road Warrior Body Shop, $755, and you can go back. And then, of course, some of the other nice features that they have is if you're running invoices through here, you can do an aging of your accounts receivable. So you can see by customer who's current within 30 days, 60, and so on, and what your balances are. So you can monitor it and reach out to your customers for payment. Same thing on here. You go here, receivables, aging summary. Here we go. As of today, here's where we're at. This is the one I input, Andy's Candy Shop. But looks like everything is current. Great. We have pretty good collections. Okay. All right, we have about 15 minutes left. So I did want to leave some room and time to address some questions, if anybody has any at this point on everything that I've kind of discussed or gone over. Let's make sure we've gone through everything.
And I'll unmute or give everyone the opportunity to talk if you need to, guys. So you would just need to unmute yourself because I'm giving everyone access to speak now if you have a question, as Track said.
Okay.
So this is Crystal. So I'm very new to the software, well, the online portion of it. So if nobody has any additional questions, if you can just go through just kind of like 101 or basics on the yes, on the online portion with like tracking and all that.
What do you mean, like tracking of what?
Well, I guess really just using the software best on, online, if you have anything more to add on that.
So I guess the main thing when you're using, when you're doing accounting or bookkeeping online, like I said, the chart of accounts is the most important thing. When you first set up online QuickBooks, it'll ask you what kind of company you are, what kind of service, and it'll give you a standard chart of accounts. And so you need to go through and customize it, right? It won't give you a checking and savings account or anything like that. You have to go in and add it. So if you have a checking account, add that. If you have a credit card account, add that, for a business, and so on. That's where you start. Everything is going either through your checking account or your credit card. So those are, and if you have a loan account, add that. And then everything else kind of flows through. And then the most important thing is making sure if you can set up the bank feeds, so all the transactions come automatically from your bank account, that's ideal. So you do not want to manually input transactions. Like if you go into the register, you could, but it's very time consuming. It's not efficient. Oh, this is weird. Okay. It's giving me an error. All right, there we go. Back in. So if you were to, let's say, input a payment, like a check, you'd have to go in manually and input everything. Whereas the bank feed automatically pulls the data and puts it in, like in this section, and then you can just allocate it as it comes through, which is much faster. So from a basics perspective, that's the most important thing you have to remember, is to try to manage that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was there anything else you wanted me to kind of elaborate?
No, not necessarily. So I guess once we do this throughout the year, then we can bring it to, someone like you or a CPA, and then you will be able to help with taxes.
Exactly. So the nice thing about online QuickBooks is you can give access to your QuickBook file to me, and I can run the reports that I need to on my own and prepare the taxes. I have a lot of clients that do that. Or you can just go to reports and run the P&L and the balance sheet. Balance sheet is important. The balance sheet pretty much tells you your assets and your liabilities and equity. This is important also in preparing the tax return. And that's exactly right. One, it really significantly, if everything is done accurately and correctly, it does reduce the amount of time and expense from a tax side of things, because if everything is done accurately, then it's better.
Okay. And if you can provide your contact information.
I'm sorry?
Your contact information.
Yes, let me pull that up. That was my last slide. Here you go, right here. Good question. And there's 3 C's in the email. It's ARCC and then the word consulting.com.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go to my website, I can just pull it up here. So this is our website, contact us, and you can always, here's our contact info, and this is our general inbox to it. This is monitored all the time too. So if you don't write it down, the information's here as well, and here.
Are there any more questions from anyone else before we wrap up today's session? Remember, you have the ability to talk. You would just simply have to unmute yourself, or you can type a question quickly in the Q&A section. We have one more question, Track, and Jimmy says, do we have time to review bank reconciliation one more time? Could you?
So the reconciliation, okay, yes, I can definitely show you. So the reconciliation, if you want to do the reconciliation of a bank account, let's just go here. We can do that. If you're in the actual check register, on the online, you just click reconcile here. And then you would need your bank statement to reconcile this bank account. Okay. So it shows you what your beginning balance is, and then you can say my ending balance is $7,000, and then your ending month. Let's say you're doing October 31st, 2020. And then start reconciling. And then you have to go through and compare it to your bank statement and make sure that all the deposits and payments that are in QuickBooks match up and clear it up. So you check them off as you go. Yep, this is in there, this is in there, and so on. On the online, I'm sorry, on the desktop, you just go to banking and then reconcile. Same thing, you pick whichever one do you want to reconcile. So this one I've done before in another training session. So I put in the numbers, and then you start checking off. And these I already checked off. You just start checking things off that are in your bank statement. So you would put in, don't forget, beginning balance always has to match your bank statement, and then your ending balance, the date, and then you can start checking things off. And once this difference is 0, it's reconciled. Same thing, when this difference is 0, it's reconciled. Okay, you should never have a difference. Okay, does that make sense? We're asked a question.
Jimmy says yes, thanks.
No problem.
Anyone else have questions before we complete our session? It looks like we may have you have addressed everything, Track.
Great.
If you could show that slide again with our contact information.
Sure, here we go.
Thanks again to Track for his wisdom and insight on all things accounting in QuickBooks and Art Consulting. As you could see, his contact information is listed there if you could benefit from his team's support. And then, of course, you can reach out to us at the Illinois SBDC at Bill Bronzeville for ongoing business advising support for business planning. If you have an existing business and you have other needs related to marketing, just for example, you can reach out to us for support, and our contact information is listed there as well. We thank you all for your time and attention today, and hopefully you have received great insight and clarity about how to handle accounting in QuickBooks. You will receive You'll receive a follow-up email with the link to this recording. And we thank you again. Continue to have a great day.